What's up guys, it's Tian here coming at you with another deck profile, and let's start 2021 strong, come back to the basics, come back to the roots. I have another Dragon Ball CCG deck profile for you ladies and gents, so let's jump right into it. Right, as you guys can see, I've immediately prepared the core of this deck. This deck is built around the Set 1 World Martial Arts Championship event card. This card is definitely a card that I haven't really explored in the past, but it's definitely a very strong card. Comes down early, well, I'd say turn 3 is probably mid-game. Comes down mid-game. It only costs 2 chi, which is not bad. Has a time limit of 3, so you get it to be in play for basically 4 turns. The turn you play it, and then you will get 3 more turns to take your time limit counters off this event. And as you can see, each warrior with Earth symbol gets +1/+1. Now the one thing to be aware of with this card is that your opponent also gets this ability. There isn't many event cards there that actually will give an effect to your opponent's warriors, but this is actually one of those. So if your opponent tends to play or happens to play an Earth deck as well, then well, you might be in a bit of a trouble. But you know, at worst case, the odds are even out by your opponent playing Earth symbol warriors as well. More often than not, that's actually not the case though. Earth is certainly not necessarily the most overused, the most overpopular color in this game. So I think building around World Martial Arts Championship is not necessarily a big restriction. So what do we do in this deck? Well, you will see a lot of those tricks that I have applied for previous builds as well. Let's go through those then. I'm gonna leave this card out here so you guys can obviously see what's the core of the deck. Obviously this is a very strong pump effect for all the Earth Warriors, so see how we build around that. For turn zeros we have 3 copies of Yamcha. Yamcha's amazing. Obviously an Earth Warrior, he also has backup. He searches for a female warrior, goes on top of your planet, which is amazing. He also gives +0/+1 to all the female warriors in his team. So it's a really great early star card, and you can search a lot of cards with Yamcha. To complement Yamcha, we're also running a full play set of Aurelia, just another absolutely fantastic turn 0 warrior. Again, because Aurelia really only shines in Earth and Super decks, she doesn't really yield herself to be ran just like a splash in other color decks. But in the decks where she fits in, she's absolutely amazing. She does also get +1/+0 against your opponent's warriors with unique or villain symbols with a turn cost of 2 or less. So she actually has a built-in boost as well, and also very importantly, she has that 1 support value as well that can be quite good with Yamcha. Yamcha's gonna make her a 2 support value warrior, actually also searchable with Yamcha. Just a very good turn 0 card. And also, again, it must be said, Master Roshi is quite possibly the best 0 drop card, just because he's solid on both lead warrior stats with if you spend that extra chi, but he's also fantastic as a support warrior. He also has backup. He's just got all the traits of an amazing turn 0 warrior. So he's at a 2 in the deck. Also gets the benefit of World Martial Arts Championship, of course. But the big one that you want to search with Yamcha will be the turn 1 Ranfan. And yes, I'm using the original iteration where she gets she gives the -1/-1 whether she's attacking or defending. That card has never been errata, so you can run whichever you want. But you dig for Ranfan with Yamcha. Your turn 1 is then sorted. She becomes a 1/3 behind Yamcha. So on turn 1 to have a 6 power team is very rare. This is pretty much one of the only combos how you can get that done. Or if you're running Nappa and actually you happen to draw into Nappa, the Set 5 Nappa in Alien. But also, not only that, the team is a 6 power. Also, it is very likely that you will be battling against a team of at least one warrior that is human and male in your opponent's team. So Ramfan is also going to give out a -1/-1. So it's almost a pseudo team power of 7 in many occasions. Just a fantastic card. I absolutely love this combo there, and you can see this combo, of course, in my tech pump technique heavy budget deck that I profiled about a year ago. Now this was some sort of a last second move to get Yajirobe into the deck, but Yajirobe is a fantastic card, and yes, I do sometimes struggle to find a home for Yajirobe. That's basically because he's just not necessarily part of that playstyle I tend to do all the time, but Yajirobe is an amazing card. You can basically drop him down even after you've deployed that given turn, and he just jumps into any one of your teams battling against one of your opponent's teams, and he will give he can come out as a lead warrior, or he can also just give you that +1 support. If you got World Martial Arts Championship out, that's actually a +2 support, but he can also jump out and be a +5 later. Now, if you got teams like, you can send out a team of Master Roshi and Ramfan sort of turn 1, sort of almost bluff your opponent into thinking that this is going to work out. You might even want to spend the 1 chi on Master Roshi if you want to, but even if you don't, this is a team of 4, and then all of a sudden you can drop Yajirobe out, making that a team of 8, which can actually get you an outstanding victory if you get opposed. If not, this is of course an outstanding or overwhelming planet damage, which will then give your opponent 2 planet damages, and literally this is turn 1. So again, just really quick, really fantastic. Getting early big hits is always putting you into the lead in this game. We also have for turn 2 we got 2 copies of the set 5 Chowtsu. He just does everything. He's amazing. Literally, the only other turn 2 warrior that gives you 3 support is Freezer from set 1, both the starter and the super rare. So Chowtsu is just really good. Even when damaged, he's still giving you 2 support value, and he can blow himself up to give 1 damage to one of your opponent's warriors with a turn cost of 3 or less. He's also got backup. He's also the Earth Warrior. Just fantastic. Does everything you need him to do in this particular deck. For turn 3, we have 2 Mutaitos. Again, just perfectly fits the bill of getting these very strong support warriors out, sort of turn 2, turn 3, sort of this late early game, as I would probably refer to it. And then when you get World Martial Arts Championship out, if you've managed to get Chowtsu out turn 2, if you managed to get Mutaito out turn 3, you drop this guy. Let's say you have an Aurelia, for example, here at the front. You got a team power of 9 straight up. You might be battling against the villain, which will give you a 10 team power. You drop World Martial Arts, you immediate up to a 13 team power, which is just super amazing on turn 3. Realistically, very, very difficult to deal with indeed. Mutaito it does very similar things to what Chowtsu does, so he also gives out 1 damage to one of your opponent's warriors with a turn cost of 3 or less. However, in this case, you're not doing this voluntarily. You're doing this when he's moved to your chi area due to showdown damage. But you can see how very easily these 2 cards are interchangeable. They all both get the job done. So we got a lot of this, cheat sort of damage dealing going on here as well, early play. And these guys, they won't lose their effectiveness late game either, because your opponent's very likely still going to have warriors that from earlier, from the beginning of the game, when they dropped, their turn 0, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, these guys can get rid of some of those warriors, just again, hopefully giving you a little bit of an advantage over them. Now for turn 4, we are running 2 Tians. This is almost a must run for any super or earth deck, because he's just very, very good. He's very flexible. He basically gives you another technique into your deck. You can just exchange a warrior that you already have in play, like one of your turn zeros that obviously you can't play two Aureles. You can exchange it with a technique from your chi. Now, as long as you make sure you exchange it for a card that has backup, you will still have access to that card, of course, with the backup special effect, which is amazing. And he also has backup. He's also an Earth Warrior, so he gets pumped by the World Martial Arts Championship event. And the 5-2-4-1, even if injured, just another fantastic warrior, really. And he's really good to sort of get into after you've spent a couple of turns. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, you're dropping mostly support warriors. By the time you get to turn 4, that 0 drop that you played early game, that probably was your lead warrior until now, you can now replace that by Tian, and you can definitely start to send out 2 very strong teams by turn 4, if you're curving out, of course. Turn 5, we are running 2 Vidals. Actually, I should probably go back because I didn't include Gohan for turn 4. From turn 4 onwards, we're running a bit of a husband and wife type of deck creation here. So with the 2 Tians, we also are complemented with 2 Gohans. Gohan does both duties. He can be very good on offense. He's very good on support as well. Just being a 3-3 is amazing, but if he does get injured, not a problem. He just becomes more powerful with that ability. And of course, we are running 2 Grey Saiyans in the deck as well. I'm gonna get to that in a second. But for turn 5, without the evolution, of course not looking at Gohan, we are running Vidal. Vidal is another amazing card. We can again search for Vidal with Yamcha. She also has backup. She is a very strong lead warrior, being a 6-2, but even if she's injured, she still gives you a 2-2. So her support value is untouched, whether she's in healthy status or injured. And she also has this great ability when this warrior's team wins a victory, an outstanding victory, you may injure an opponent's support warrior. And this is really, really important. The distinction between the Chowtsu and the Mutaito is, of course, there is a turn cost restriction, and also those cards take toughness into account. Vidal doesn't take toughness into account. It just goes ahead and it will injure one of the support warriors in your opponent's team, which can be fantastic. Many decks are just not prepared for taking these chit damages and being put into injured statuses, because many decks will be exploiting their cards' healthy values. And they not necessarily are going to be running heal effects or anything like that. So Vidal really goes ahead and exploits that, making her another fantastic addition to this card. And she can also very much one of the important factors why I also went in for Mutaito and Chowtsu is to sort of, in case we come up against another Earth deck, those cards can almost balance out World Martial Arts Championship. Because we can still go ahead and injure our opponent's warriors, just give out these cheat damages, and thus that we basically will be getting more benefit from the World Martial Arts Championship than they do. So we are running 2 Grey Saiyans, and as you can see, guys, I'm not running the promo one in this particular deck. I'm actually running the set 3 Super Rare. The reason why I'm doing this is purely for the card recycling ability that Grey Saiyan has. Basically, on a card to card, of course, Old Kai or even Journey of Adventure is better than Grey Saiyan. However, Great Saiyan really fits the bill of this deck. There is no space to run Old Kai. I really wouldn't want to take out Ramfan. I wouldn't want to take out Master Roshi, because you need those cards to come down turn 0, turn 1. So Great Saiyan, albeit a late game sort of recycling effect, at least he does 2 cards. But yes, you have to make sure that you win, you get a victory or an outstanding victory. So the only thing is, of course, his team needs to be opposed. So that's the only thing that you need to obviously position yourself. If nothing else, make sure you go out and defend with him. As long as you know that you're at least drawing. If you draw with him, again, great stuff. He will become even stronger. He's a very good support warrior with the 5-4, but when he's injured, he becomes a 7-0 with the World Martial Arts. If there's only one out, that's still an 8-1, which is super strong. And remember, with Gohan, it's absolutely fine to go out and chum block. Makes him stronger. When you evolve, you will come back in healthy. Although I might be wrong here. It might come out in the same. Just check out the rules, guys. Check out the rules. I haven't actually checked the rules on this before. This is an off the top thinking here that I'm giving you right now. So it could go either way, but it's definitely worthwhile remembering that you don't have to wait till turn 6. Turn 5, you can evolve from Gohan into Great Saiyan, and that will also give you the ability to still deploy. So you deploy Vidal, of course, if you can. If not, play maybe Yamcha to search for Vidal and get her into your hand through that interaction, through that effect. And last but not least, I'm running one Oob from set 4, another super rare. The reason why I'm running this guy is he's got built-in heal effect. Earth doesn't really have many high turn cost, sort of beaters. Oob being one of these, and I opted for this guy. He can heal himself, but even if he's injured, he still gets the same support value. So from a healthy 6-3, he goes to a 3-3 if injured. And of course, he gets the benefits of World Martial Arts Championship. So every single card in this deck has the Earth trait. Every single one of our cards gets pumped by World Martial Arts Championship. If you can get one of these out, that's fantastic. If you get 2 out, then, well, you're just absolutely in the saddle with that. Oob is not an absolutely amazing card, but he still has toughness, fairly okay stats, and again, he can heal himself, which is good. It's certainly one of the good traits of this card. That the built-in healing effect helps him a lot. On to techniques. We are running a full play set of Will of the People, as obviously you would. Even early game, when you can start to play this card from turn 2 onwards. It is a bit costly, being a 3 chi card. 3 chi cost is quite hefty, but remember that after that the card will go into your chi, so realistically only losing 2 chi by playing Will of the People. And also very good about this card is that you can either give lead warrior plus attack points, or you can give a support warrior plus attack points as well. It is completely down to your choosing. It's a very flexible card from that point of view, and the X is equaling the number of Earth warriors you control, basically, except the user. It says the number of other Earth warriors you control. So if you have 3 Earth warriors in play, one is using this card, the one that you play with will get +2/+2. So again, it gets stronger as the game goes on longer. It's a very good card, and it is sort of an exploratory 3. It might be a 2 later on in the game, but I think 3 is good. 3 will almost guarantee that at some point you're gonna get to see it during the play. And naturally, running Earth, we must run a full play set of Katana Slice. It is just the best Earth technique that you can find in the game. Just so versatile. Giving -2/- to one of your opponent's warriors is great. You can also play it in the strategy, so you can be preemptive with it. And you negate its effect text and special abilities until the end of the turn. So it just completely wipes a card clean. From toughness onwards, everything will be clean. And you give them -2/- as well. So it's fantastic. It also removes an event, which has a turn cost equal or less to the amount of warriors that you control. So from that point of view, it's very similar to Will of the People. Again, it's just how many warriors you got in play. So currently a full play set of Will of the People, currently a full play set of Katana style, Katana Slice even. The Will of the People could go down to a 2. I would definitely recommend not to go any lower than 2 if you're trying to get the full benefit of that card. We are running quite a few events that we want to see, predominantly World Martial Arts Championships, so I'm actually running 2 sparring match here. I'm not a massive fan of this card. It is I reserve this to decks where there's one particular event that I'm building around, which is in this case World Martial Arts Championship, as you guys can see. So just to have early access to it, or just to be able to get a second copy. Sparring match is good, but it puts the event on top of your deck. Then you can discard a card to draw a card, which is I'm just not a massive fan of it. Good thing about sparring match is it's completely splashable though, because it only costs you 1 generic chi, which is quite good. But it does help you to see the copy of the WMAC event, or see a second copy and just completely boost your teams as well. So there you go. These are the techniques. Now for the events, we've talked about the core of the deck. I'm also running 2 Z Warriors Gather. I'm gonna say Z because I live in England, so you know what, sue me. Z Warriors Gather, fantastic card. The main reason why I'm running this card is not for the warrior search effect, but for its second effect, where you can basically pop it on the chain and make your events unremovable, immune to removal for a turn. That's what's really important, because I mean most decks really should run at least 1, but you know, better decks run 2, maybe 3 event removals like this one as well. You can see 3 Katana Slice. We want to protect our World Martial Arts Championship, so the quicker we can get Z Warriors out, the better. Sparring match can help with that. It's just an added benefit that if we want to, we can also search our deck for a warrior. But again, remember, you need to discard a warrior with the same chi symbol, which is not really a problem. But let's say if you want to get, you might want to find your Grey Saiyan in case you got Gohan in your hand. You need to discard something that you might have, for example, 2 Ram fans, 1 in your hand. And when you play Yamcha, you might want to search for the other Ram fan just to get yourself some Z Warriors Gather fodder. If you don't want to do that, of course, you can always reserve Yamcha for a Vidal search. Or if you want to start to bang out early multiple team attacks, then you can get, of course, Aurelia as well with Yamcha. That's entirely up to you, and entirely up to what deck you're playing against, what situation you may find yourself in. But there's a lot of different avenues you can take with this deck as you are playing. So I'm not saying, obviously, this being a somewhat difficult card to find. You know, if you want to opt to run something else, of course, by all means do it. But there are no real cards that will defend your events that are in play besides Z Warriors Gather, and this card obviously just perfectly fits the bill. It's almost like it was made for this particular interaction to keep your World Martial Arts Championship in play, or any other events. I do also play this in Giant Tape decks, which you might see a fresh deck in the near future for. And then finally, just a bit of a draw engine. We have 2 mystery pots. If nothing else, if our opponent's very event light, Katana Slice can remove your mystery pot, so you don't even have to put cards back on top of your deck during your charge step. Just get your 3 card draws off mystery pots, and then during your opponent's turn, make sure you use a Katana Slice if it's in your hand. Remove your mystery pots, and you net it to, well, but technically you only net 1 card, because this is 1, that is 1, you draw 3, you'd still net 1 card, but it could be still very much getting you extra cards into your hand. So this is pretty much the build. It hasn't really been play tested. It's more something that I was just tinkering about during the Christmas holiday season in 2020, and this is what I came up with, because I thought, well, you know what, what's beautiful about this game is that you can literally pick 1 card and build a whole deck around it, or you can pick one particular theme and you can build a deck around it. So even though we only have 500 cards, and yes, you can see that there are some cards that constantly repeat themselves in my deck profiles, I can pick a card that I've never profiled ever in the past sort of 9 years, 10 years since I've been reviewing this game, and build a perfectly valid deck around it. And I think this card being overlooked, I actually found myself only having 3 copies of this, so you know, I'm quite lucky that I got the playset to be able to sort of build around. But yeah, strong card, definitely shouldn't be overlooked. It's got a lot of potential in it to get this nice little +1/+1 effect down that you also can get multiples down of, and that's the big deal. Like, you know, if you're running unique evil tribe, for example, you can only have 1 King Piccolo in play unless you decide to play alternate future. But with this theme effect, you can even have up to 3 World Martial Arts Championships in play. You can protect them with Zeb Warriors together, just giving you a massive edge over your opponent. So I hope you like this video, guys. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, make sure you share the video, leave a comment below if you want to discuss, if you got any questions around this game. And up until next time, Saiyan signing out. Peace.